This video is to show you how to choose the settings for Freckle the way we are using it here at Centerville this year. The first thing you'll do is log into your Freckle account, and once you're there, you go up to the right corner and you should see your name. I'm going to click on Name, and then I'm going to click on Your Account. From there, you'll see two tabs. Your Profile tab is correct the way it is. You can scroll down and take a look at that. And the tab we're going to be using is the Product Settings page. So I'm clicking on the Product Settings tab, and I'm checking the settings here. So in the math system, I want to be sure that we have Virginia Standards of Learning chosen here. So check that first. And if it is not, please make sure that you change that. Under ELA system, we are not using the language arts system. We're not using the social studies or science. So I choose the drop-down arrow, and I go to where it says No ELA Science or Social Studies System, and change that so that that is showing as the choice here. Okay, and it says you may notice some changes in reporting student levels when you switch your math or ELA system. That's okay. As I scroll a little bit further down, we can leave things the way they are, sorted by last name. Don't worry about the team mode part, and be sure there's a check beside assignments first, because we want all of our students to be doing assignments first. And then click Update Settings to save. You get a little flag that comes up at the top that says your settings have been changed. Okay, so then I'm going to look at the product settings, or excuse me, that was the product settings. And now I'm going over to the left, and I'm looking at the roster section. So when I click on roster, you can actually see your classes. The ones that are managed by Renaissance are the ones that we are using. But I want you to make sure that you delete any classes that you have that may have been there from last year. So you can easily look at the names, and if the names are from students from last year, that class needs to be deleted. So I'm looking at this one, and this I'm using Nancy Larius, but she is substituting for Ms. Phillips. And so I see Ms. Phillips' students' names, and I know that Nancy has the correct classes here. If I click here for one teacher, I can see that Nancy is the only teacher for this child, but a co-teacher is Mrs. Phillips. So Nancy and Mrs. Phillips are both co-teachers in this class. So that lets me know who the co-teachers are. The class belongs to Mrs. Phillips. It's her homeroom. Nancy is the co-teacher. Okay. Here you can also click where you could share this with another teacher if you needed to. For example, a special ed teacher or itinerant or someone else that might need the access. And you can select one student or you can select all. So if you have students that work with different special ed teachers, you can pick and choose which ones that are their co-teachers. Okay. If I look at the default setting here and click on default, you will see this dashboard. It's the student dashboard settings. And we need to make a couple of changes here in math settings. So when I scroll down and see math settings, we are not using fact practice. So I'm going to choose fact practice. And we are not using focus skills. So I'm going to choose that. And you can see the high school is already grayed out. So these have become grayed out. And I scroll down a little bit further, and I apply this to all students. And notice I clicked on just one student, but once I get in here and make my choices, I can apply it to just that one student or to all students. But we're going to apply this to all students in the class and then confirm the changes, because we are not using the skills practice and the focus skills at this time. Okay, and so now you can see that I said Focus skills and fact practice is what I should have said. We are not using those here at Centerville. If you want to do focus skills, it will come from your assignments, targeted assignments that you make to your students. So those are a couple of the settings that we need to make in Freckle so that everything will be up to par the way Mrs. Ritzel is expecting us to use Freckle this year. Over on the left-hand side, I'm now going down to the math section. When I click on math, you can see there are two tabs here also, the content tab and the standards tab. And it's divided into 3 skill domains. And I have a printed handout with a chart on it that tells you which parts we're using and which parts we should not be using. So in the targeted skills and domains section, you can see adaptive math pathway. That is one that we will be using. And if you go over to the right, you will see printable resources. We are not using printable resources from Freckle. So please do not print these and do not begin using these. Mrs. Ritzel believes that we have many other resources that we can use before Freckle as far as printable resources go. You will also see that we have targeted math practice, and targeted math practice is under the section where, yes, we can use. So we can use both adaptive math and targeted math, but we are not using the printable resources. As I scroll down, you'll see the next section is high school, so we'll skip over that for now, and then we come to focus skills practice. This is tied to the STAR assessment, which is why we are not using the focus skills practice, because it gives them practice straight from the focus, the STAR math assessment, which we haven't done. Your focus practice will come from the targeted assignments that you do for them. The next section is called Build the Basics. And in Build the Basics, you're going to see we are not using fact practice and we are not using number facts. Number basics can be used for first grade and some kindergarten children. Some of the kindergarten children will be ready for this and many are not at this point, but this is really basically kindergarten and first. I talked to second grade and told them that, they may find something in here, but it really seems to be, to me, closer to a first grade or kindergarten activity. Under the extend thinking section, depth of knowledge is a yes. This is a good place to use higher level thinking questions. So the depth of knowledge things are available for us to use. And of course, the inquiry-based lessons are available for us to use. Constructed responses, you'll see, are middle school and high school, so we'll skip over that. And then at the bottom, the benchmark assessments. You will use the benchmark assessments. And this is where you can assess your students' progress on a specific standard, check for understanding, use it for helping assign targeted practice. So those are the settings that we need to make sure we have turned on correctly in Freckle for now. Amber has a PowerPoint that she's sharing at Collaboration this week that gives a lot more detail, and we are going over that in Collaboration. The idea is for you to bring your Chromebooks or laptops with you so that we can go through these settings together and look at the different things. And Amber will be looking at all of these different parts and talking about the different parts with you and highlighting a couple of things that we have found that are new.